Okay, it's MB Moose Lover with another video, and this one's called Backyard Deer Obsessed with the Grouse Eatery, and which they are. And the deer are always around my place anyway. They live in the woods behind my place here, and in the winter, they got to scrounge to find food. I can't afford to feed them birdseed. The birds are going through it fast enough. But the stuff that spills out on the ground, they're always around the feeders, and they scare the birds. I mean, the squirrels and the blue jays scare the grosbeaks enough as it is. I got about 100 grosbeaks here. I had that many at one time. They're not always that many, but 50, 75, and they're just so nervous. They just get down feeding, and they a squirrel or a blue jay will scare them, and they'll scatter, and it takes them forever to work their way back in. And anyway, I try to keep the deer away from it, but mainly it's my grouse eatery that I built for my grouse. I have a grouse it comes there every day and feeds just before dark usually. It was coming in the daytime when the temperatures were warmer, but in cold temperatures now it either stays up in a tree, it'll fly. I've seen it 4 or 5 times now fly up into a little thicket of spruce, and it'll get up into a thick tree there, and probably where it spends the night. And then but I've so I'm trying to I took my picnic table and basically turned it into an eatery with some boughs on the top of it, and then I had to go put poles all the way around it. All the videos are here on that subject. The deer were actually climbing in underneath of the picnic table, getting under the benches and getting in there so they could eat the seed that I was putting in there for the grouse, because I put it in there just so they couldn't get it, and that way it gave the grouse a safe place to feed. So anyway, I cut these cedar boughs. You see the deer eating some cedar boughs here. I just cut some lower limbs off of some of my cedar, just to give them something there to maybe keep them from harassing the birds and or the grouse actually. And because they'll come in and scare the grouse just at dark, and if it doesn't get a chance to feed, then it's going to have a harder night. And I have to keep going out and chasing the deer away, because they'll come out just at the time when the grouse is, and the grouse sometimes doesn't show up till just before dark. So I'm trying to keep the deer away until the grouse gets there. Anyway, I cut these cedar boughs here last night, and deer came in just before dark. They could smell them. Where I just freshly cut them off, I just used a little saw on the end of my roof rake handle and cut some lower branches. And anyway, the thing is, they started eating these boughs, and then it wasn't long, just a few minutes, they headed down to the eatery to get some bird seed. And I'm thinking, I just gave you some boughs, but it just they're, like I said, they're obsessed. I don't know what it is about a few sunflower seeds. A lot of times they're just getting the husks off of them that the birds have dropped. But I'm filming out through a window because it's too cold to film outside, and also I'll scare the birds. And anyway, so I spent the night playing referee to keep the deer away, and you're gonna see here in a minute this little fawn, and these boughs here, it shows you how fast a few deer can go through some cedar needles. In a pile like this, it's they can really do a job on them real quick. And I mean, they're getting some stuff blown off the trees here right now. The wind blows nearly every day, so they're getting a lot of small tips of these cedar that will blow off, and the lichens that blow off the trees. But we don't have much snow here, so they can cover a lot of ground. And they're living off their fat too. I mean, they're in pretty good shape. And we're at the end of January here, so we get through February. March can be bad. You can get a lot of snow, but then you can get some good warm days too. So I think they'll do all right here. They've had a pretty good winter, and I only had about half a dozen deer show up here anyway. That's all I've got pretty well around me this year, about a half a dozen. So anyway, the grouse hasn't been coming in till really late in the evening and after 5 o'clock, and I haven't seen it in the morning for quite a while. It was coming in the morning. I had 2 of them here at one time, and they would sit there in the afternoon, and they would feed on the bird seed, and then just sit there and warm themselves, and then it was just one coming, and then I've only had the one, but it's here every day. It hasn't missed a day, but sometimes it is, like I said, a lot of times it's just before dark, and I don't usually see it come in. It'll sneak in under the picnic table, or the eatery, that's what I call it, and Grouse Eatery, or the Green Bow Eatery. And it'll sneak in, and it'll be so dark I can't see without my video camera that it's underneath the picnic table, and it'll be in there pecking away, and just before dark to get enough to eat, and then sometimes I'll see it fly up in the trees for the night. Sometimes I won't. It'll just sneak away out the back, and I won't even see it leave. But anyway, last night it did come in, and you'll see here in the video what happens here. It's just kind of cute. Now you see this little fawn. Now he's been eating cedar boughs, and his stomach pretty full there, and here he comes, and he's going to just make a beeline for that picnic table, and he's going to sniff around here underneath the feeders for a minute, but he knows where he wants to go. He got right underneath that picnic table, and a couple times one got underneath there and laid right down, and I didn't get it on film, and my wife actually saw it, and then they come just barreling out underneath of it when you go to get them out of there. But so anyway, he comes right down there, and I went out and scared him, but I don't know if I did it before I filmed this or not. I think I did. Yeah, and I went out, and I just go out and kind of wave my arms and clap my hands, and he left, and because I was waiting for the grouse to show up, and I wanted them to stay over there and eat their cedar so the grouse could come in and not get spooked. And so I got the little guy, and he went back up around, and then a bunch of them we just saw leaving. They were heading, and I've got a brook down below. I think they probably went down to the brook to get a drink, if there's any place for them to get a drink that isn't frozen over. But no grouse yet. I kept looking, and it's difficult to see under there. I have to use my camera to lighten it up a little bit so I can see. And so I was waiting there patiently, and they were eating their boughs, and there's one little guy here, and I wanted to mention it, that he's I don't know if you can see it here. I think I got a part 2 to this video, and it might be easier to see it on that, but there's one little fawn here, and I think maybe it's that one right there that's got little antlers, just little nubs. He's got little nubs there that are all velvet covered, and see, this year we're heading into spring, he's going to have his first set of antlers, and that first little set they have is just little bumps, and then now that he's going into spring, right around April and May, it'll I guess that's when they're heading down. I figured they already went that way once, but they're heading down there to I think they came around that time and I spooked them away, or vice versa. Maybe that time they went to the brook, or they went someplace and they didn't really come down to the feeder, and then I think it's this time that they're going to come down around and try to get some seeds, I think is what it is. I'm getting confused in my story, but anyway, I kept looking here. Yeah, see, I kept looking, and they were in behind, and then I didn't want them to come in there and disrupt my evening for the grouse. So anyway, yeah, like I was saying, they will. This little buck, he'll have his antlers start this spring, and once the hormones kick in, in like April and May, then they'll start to grow. And yeah, that's him. I can see the little bumps. I think I'm watching this on my monitor, and I don't have my glasses on. I'm pretty sure that's the little buck with little nubs on his forehead. And but anyway, yeah, he'll be a little spike or a fork, or he could be even a little 6-point, if he ends up having brow tines. But yeah, and yeah, it gets dark here real quick after 5 o'clock, and the wind was blowing too, and that you would think that would scare the deer, but it'll scare the grouse from coming in too. So anyway, I know it's a bit of a long video here, but I just kind of wanted to tell the story here, and you can't just do it real quick, But anyway, I'm going through a little bit of seed there. Went and got some more yesterday, and it's funny how much seed they can waste. Well, not waste, but just spill it out on the ground from the feeders, and then a lot of the birds do go to the ground and get it. But 100 grosbeaks can eat a lot of feed. But I don't know how they get anything to eat, because they're always just so nervous, and they come in and just least little thing spooks them, and then they get like 50 birds all together, and then they all just leave all together, and then they come back again, and then they sit in the trees and wait and wait and wait for make sure it's safe, and then come in again, and it starts all over again, and then it's exhausting watching them. A big storm coming. Here we go. Here I looked over. I kept watching for those deer that had headed down around to the left, and then I look over, and here's this doe, and she's like, she's like, I got busted. And I went out and spooked her away, because it's getting darker and darker now. My grouse hasn't shown up, or at least I didn't think he did, but there he is. I look over, and there he is, and how he got in there, I don't know. I never saw him coming. He must have either flew down real quick from a tree and got in there, or snuck in around behind, come in the back door. But he and I'll get thinking, wonder where he is tonight. Is he gonna, if he doesn't get his crop, his or her crop filled, I mean, he's gonna have a cold night. So, but he's just going to town on the seed there, and when he does get in there, he just keeps eating and eating and eating, and then the deer are gonna keep harassing him though. Here, that little fawn had a hard time keeping him away. See, that time there a minute ago when he came running right down to the feeder, he went right over and stuck his head right in under the boards here on the picnic table, and then like I said, I spooked him, and then when he come in this time, he spooked the grouse out from under the eatery, and you see that he's over in behind it there, and then I'm pretty sure that he came back in under it again for just a short time, and then the fawn came back again, and I went out and kind of just clapped my hands or whatever, and the fawn, when he took off, it spooked the grouse, and the grouse basically ran out again out from under, and then that was it. He basically went over here, and then you'll see him, he's going to fly up into a tree, and I'm not sure that there may be a cut. I can't remember 100%, but I kept looking because I figured that there was another deer coming here, and that's what it was. Because I had just spooked the deer, I think, that spooked him, and then I kept looking for it here. And I'll go back here, and it'll be there looking through the trees. And the grouse is just standing there waiting and seeing what's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that it went back in under and ate a little bit more, and then I don't know if that was a fawn that I'm going to see here or not. It's right there, and it's a bigger deer, that one. It was there, and then because I just scared it, and then after this, I didn't get it on film. The little fawn comes back in right over by the eatery, and I spooked him. And when I went outside and spooked him, when I did, the deer jumped, and grouse ran out, and that time he didn't go back in. He just basically, you'll see him here. He just, because then I look and the deer's gone, that one. But it was after that the grouse basically got spooked again, and right here, and see, there it is. He was under there again, and then he comes out when that fawn ran, and it's getting really dark then. But I think he got quite a bit to eat anyway. But and then he's gonna go over here to the other side, and there's barely enough light to film here. I had to adjust this on the editing and lighten it up. I keep saying he, but it may be a she anyway. But it's hard to tell males and females, and unless you can get a lot closer to them. And there the grouse goes. He's going to sit up on this log now. He's going to fly up, and there's no fir or spruce trees there. There's just some cedar, so he flew way up there, maybe into a big cedar, and maybe he was going to get a few cedar needles or something before dark. And he's going to take off here. Ready, set, go. And there he goes. And later, and be much lover.